cricket, not cricket. It's not cricket. Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Sneha and welcome to the September wrap up. In the month of September, I managed to read 7 books, which is quite a big number considering how I finished August with. I was in the middle of a huge mental slump, but I got out of it thanks to one very inspirational memoir, which I'll get to, which is also the only non-fiction book that I finished that month. The rest of them are fiction books. So yeah, let me just recap about everything that I've read in September 2022. So the first book that I finished in September was The Murder of Roger Ackroyd by Agatha Christie. This is one of her Hercule Poirot murder mysteries, the series that she's most famous for creating. And this one takes place in a small town in England once again, where Hercule Poirot is actually almost retired, but he gets tied up into the murder of like a well-known person in the village that he's living in. And the book is entirely narrated by a doctor who is good friends with the person who was murdered, and he sort of steps into the Hastings role for Hercule Poirot. He's very interested in the murder and he helps him along, interviewing people and collecting evidence and analyzing evidence and all of that. So we have like a new character in the Hastings role. This book, I think, breaks all rules of a classic murder mystery. I'm not going to leave any spoilers, but the reveal when it happens is quite dramatic, I would say. I had like a brief thought during reading this book that it can't be that, right? I mean, that's impossible. That'll break a rule sort of writing a murder mystery. But it turns out that is the reveal. It's actually written really, really well. The only problem was me. I was just not in the best state of mind when I was reading this book. I was mentioning, I was in the middle of a huge reading slump, and mentally also I was not doing so well. So I think I was very distracted in reading this book, so I didn't give it 100% of my attention. I was trying to get back to reading and breaking the reading slump. I managed to rate this 3.5 stars out of 5, but the 1.5 stars are really deducted because of me. I'm not blaming the book, it's me. The next book that I finished was When Bread Becomes Air by Paul Kalanithi. This is a non-fiction memoir, which is just my favorite genre of non-fiction to read, and this is written by someone who was a neurosurgeon, and he's at the very cusp of finishing his residency when he is given a cancer diagnosis. So he starts writing this book, just charting out his life, how he chose neurosurgery, his love for literature, his love for medicine, his lifelong persistence of trying to get an answer to his questions on philosophy, on the purpose of life. And then we move to when his entire residency and his diagnosis and how that affects him, and eventually how he passes away. I've been a lifelong reader. I mean, I have a channel dedicated to books, and there are very few books which I believe find you at the moment that you really need them, and this book was that for me. When you're reading about somebody whose mind is so brilliant, who's such a amazing person, and how he reacts when he's given a cancer diagnosis, and just reading it all in his own words, and his questions on morality, on mortality, on philosophy, on life, on literature. When you're reading his thoughts, it really puts things into perspective. It really changes the way you think about your very trivial problems, and you learn to kind of count your blessings, I think. This is simply one of those memoirs which is an absolute must read for everybody. If you're ever going through a tough time, if you really want to remember to be grateful for what you have, and if you really just want to take inspiration from someone who's so amazing, I think this is the book for you to read. It is just so unfair that we're only reading this book after he's passed away and he can't write anymore, because I would love to read so much more that this brilliant mind would have put out into the world. Oh man, the last chapter is written by his wife after he has passed away, and it broke me. When I tell you it broke me, I sobbed like I have never sobbed before, and it was just, it's a beautiful, beautiful, heartbreaking book. Absolutely loved it. This book really found me. at a time in my life when I was questioning just really trivial things at the back of it, but it felt like there were, insurmountable mountains at that time. But this book really helped me gain perspective, and for that I'll always be grateful. I loved reading this. I mean, I have gushed about it enough. I don't think I need to give this a rating, but I loved this. I absolutely loved this, and it broke my heart. So then I picked up one of the most anticipated books in the book world, I think, which is Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid by TJR herself. I read this on Kindle, and this is a historical fiction novel about Carrie Soto, who is touted to be, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, and she set the record of the most number of Grand Slams won. And she retires kind of at her peak because of injuries, etc. And then she sees, a few years down the line, she sees that there's like this young upstart who starts to earn a lot of titles, and very soon she's right at the cusp of breaking Carrie Soto's record. So Carrie Soto decides that she is back and she wants to preserve her legacy for one last time, and that's the book about. So Carrie Soto is somebody who's raised by a single father, and her entire life revolves around tennis, and she's kind of known as like, somebody who really doesn't have a heart, and she's like, brutal and mean, and just she views competitors like they're competitors. She's not nice to them for the sake of being nice. So she doesn't really gain a lot of good press from, fans and critics and sports watchers across the world, but she's known as, somebody who has an exceptional game. She's amazing and all of this. Yeah, I liked this book. I did not enjoy Malibu Rising. I thought it was very okay. It was very average, but this one I liked better. My all-time favorite TTR novel remains what was that? Daisy Jones and the Six. I just love the narration of that book for some reason, but this one was okay. I just did not understand one basic fact, that Carrie Soto can't defend her record forever, right? She comes back for one season, and she thinks that she'll just win one Grand Slam title and she'll again retire. But somebody else can come and topple her new record, even if that happens, right? She can't just keep on playing forever and just adding one more and adding one more and all of that. It just did not make sense to me why she one day decides that I will defend this record and I will come back. It did not make sense to me. And then in the final chapter only, she realizes the same thing that I was just talking, that she can't defend it forever. I'm like, why did it take you so long to realize this? I found that to be a very loose plot line. I did enjoy this book because of all the tennis jargon and the matches and the suspense and all of that. It was quite obvious that she would meet like the upstart. I forgot her name. I think it's Cat or something like that. Only at the end, it was quite obvious. But apart from that, I did enjoy all the sports references and tennis references and all of that. So I did rate this book, I think, 3 stars out of 5. So then I finished The Promise by Damon Galgut. This is the winner of the 2021 Booker Prize, and it is set in South Africa, and it's kind of a historical lit fic family drama kind of novel. It follows the lives of 3 siblings and their family, and what happens is when their mother passes away, there's this promise that the mother makes to the black woman who's been working for them throughout their life, that I will gift you the house that you're currently renting from me. So she makes that promise to the black woman and her family, but after the mother passes away, the rest of the what is the family called? The Swartz kind of ignore that promise, and they don't want to fulfill that promise. And there's this one sibling whose name is Amor. She's the youngest sister, and she really wants to fulfill that promise, but the rest of her family just kind of shush her, and they don't let her give that house to the black woman and her family who've been serving the Swart family for generations. So we follow the lives of these siblings, and there are a few unfortunate deaths in the family, and there are all kinds of tragedies which go on, but this one promise really dogs Amor, and it really captures the essence of how South Africa also changes as the decades pass, from apartheid, from discrimination, from finally Mandela and the revolution that he brings forward, but still there's a lot of racism that is prevalent in these small towns and small villages. I really enjoyed this book. I think there's nothing better than a family drama to kind of immerse yourself into, and this was exactly that. Of course, there were undertones of racism and all of these deeper subtexts, And they were quite prevalent, I think, and quite thought-provoking and very relevant also in today's day and age. But I really enjoyed the getting to know a family drama full scale effect of it. Another very interesting thing about this book is that the narrative really shifts between different characters. Like, it's like a thought generates in one character, and then it jumps to another person, and then it jumps to another person, and it's not just like and it doesn't just cover major characters, it covers major, minor, and even unnamed characters. So it's a very interesting way to tell a tale, I think, because it does a really great job in stitching together all these narratives and weaving an amazing story together. So I really enjoyed this, and it really shows dysfunctional families at its best and at its peak. So I gave it 4 stars out of 5, and I will recommend this. I mean, I'm reading the Booker 1 year too late, but it doesn't matter. Hello, sorry to interrupt regular programming, but this is editing me, and I've realized that if I post the full wrap up of all 7 books, it's too long, and I'm trying to be better with time management of my videos. So I've decided to split this wrap up into 2 videos. So this is the end of part 1. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, comment, subscribe if you're still around, and do check out the second part, because I read some pretty epic books in that one as well, and I covered that one as well. So yeah, thanks.